Hi everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video. Today I'm playing in the craft journal, which is one of the new releases from Dina Wakley. And you may have guessed, it's one of my favourite journals. I love the thickness of the paper and it is fabulous for doing cutouts. So I'm using the Scrap FX stencil called Majestic Moth, and I'm going to be cutting out these two pages that it's sitting on. And I was going to draw around it, and then I thought, no, that's a complete waste of time. I'm just going to stencil it on using black. So using a blending tool and some black gesso, I'm just stenciling just over the moth. Not really worried about taking it out too far because the sides of the pages are going to completely disappear. So there you go. There I've got the outline of the moth, and now I'm going to start cutting it out. So one of the things that I've found makes doing these cutout pages much easier is scarily having a really sharp craft knife. This is, I think it's like almost like a scalpel, and it's called the Model Craft Collection, and it actually says it's a scalpel set. It's stainless steel. You get some extra blades with it as well, and it really does make doing pages like this a lot easier. So I tend to do really little movements when I'm doing cutouts like this. Obviously you can see there are places where I'm not cutting out exactly what's there. I'm freestyling it a bit. And you know, really there are no rules, anything goes. I mean, obviously there are rules when it comes to things like, you know, there's got to be parts of it attached somewhere for it not to completely just drop out the book. But just give it a try. I think you might surprise yourselves. People look at these and think they're really tricky. They do take a little bit of time, and I think just think of it as a bit of a relaxation. Take your time with it. There is no rush. And I think if you do give it a try, you will be really pleasantly surprised with what you achieve. So that said, I've done that first side, and now I'm going on to the second side and just starting off cutting out the outline again. And then I'm going to start cutting out the inside of the wing to match the first side. So obviously if you didn't have this stencil from Scrap FX, you could draw your own butterfly on there, simplify the shapes on it a little bit to make the cutout areas a bit easier to do. It is something that the more you practice, the easier it gets. And don't get me wrong, I do still have the odd mistake where I cut through something that I'm not supposed to, but it's okay. It's nothing that horrific that it's not fixable. So there I've got the butterfly cut out. You can see now all that's left of those middle pages is the butterfly or moth in the middle. So then I'm using this Dina Wakley stencil. I think it's Circles for Painting stencil, and I'm going to be using some lovely pastel-y colours on this page. So before I start the stenciling, I added some black paint to the cutout part, just using a blending tool. Give it a quick dry. And look at that lovely pattern that's come through. So I did actually save this piece of paper, and I will be using it for some collage fodder. And then I'm going to be using some scribble sticks. Scribble? That sounded funny. Scribble sticks. So using the stencil, I'm just going into the stencil, colouring in the shapes with the scribble sticks. And then once I've done that, I'm going to be using some white paint with them. So this kind of activates the scribble stick, and you can create some lovely colours with the white paint. It does obviously make them more pastel shades, but this is a lovely technique to have a go at. And it does create some really pretty colours. So I am washing my brush off in between each time and giving it a little dry so that it wasn't too wet. And then you can see I'm just sort of going around the circles again, because you can notice that I'm getting like a white line around the edge, and I didn't really want that there, so I'm just kind of going around with my brush a little bit and blending it. So then I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I think the colours that I used for the scribble sticks are Fuchsia and Cheddar. I think I used Ruby and Blackberry, I think, as well. And you can see they do make really pretty colours once they're blended with the white paint. And then I'm just balancing the page by adding some of the cheddar up there as well, just to match the other page. And then I decided that I wanted to do the inside of the moth as well. I wanted that to be black because I felt it would stand out better against the background. You can see it really does stand out well. So then I gave it a really good dry because I didn't want any of the black to transfer onto the pages that I'd done for the background. So then I'm just using an ordinary black gel pen and I'm just scribbling around those circles just loosely in a sort of sketchy way, not worrying about that being too tidy. And then I'm just going to be using a Posca pen and I'm just going to do some botanical doodles onto the page. So this is inspired by something that I saw Caroline Duncan do. She does some fabulous artwork. And I saw something similar to this on one of her pages, so it's very much, this little bit here is inspired by her, and I really like how this came out. Just adding those little details. So then I'm just using a white gel pen and I'm just going over those doodles with the white pen. And all that does really is just pushes them into the background a little bit more. You can see they're not quite as in your face as they were. And then I'm just balancing the pages by doing the same thing on the other side as well. So one thing you do need to make sure is that the paint that you're writing on with your Posca pen is completely dry, because if it isn't, it will it will stop your Posca pen working, and sometimes you can't get them going again afterwards. So make sure your background is dry, really dry, before you start going in and adding details with Posca pens. Okay, so then I'm just using a text stamp. Actually, I think it's got numbers on, and I'm just adding a little bit of stamping onto the background using the archival ink. Then I've put the stencil over the top of the moth, and any area where there was a bit I didn't cut out, I'm just drawing it in with the white gel pen. But then I decided I didn't like it, so while it was still wet, I just got a baby wipe and wiped it off. One of the joys of acrylic paint, once the background is dry, if you add anything onto it and you don't like it, you can just rub it away. It's brilliant. Or you could just paint back over it. So the gold product that I've just used on top of the moth is by Art Alchemy, and it's an acrylic paint. It's a metallic gold rush, it's called. It's a really pretty gold. So all I did was just kind of rub that over with the blending tool. It was came out really well. And then this is a quote just from some Dina Wakley collage paper, which I'm adding onto the background. Unfortunately, there was a little bit of paint left in my brush, so you can see where the gel medium has gone. It has like a slight pinky tinge to it, but you know, I couldn't do anything about it because I'd already stuck it on there, so no worries. So there we have the finished page. So the fiddliest bit was definitely doing the cutout part, but I was really happy with how it looked in the end. It was definitely worth all the effort. The background was actually really simple. It's very quick to do. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Maybe you'll give this a try. Maybe you'll get your scalpel or craft knife out and have a go at making a cutout page. If you do, I'd love to see. Don't forget to tag me. Thanks for watching. See you soon.